So, in the video, The Art of Selling a Feeling, The Rise of Consumer Goods Marketing, Kenny Ohata discusses how companies have developed a new technique of marketing that targets consumers' feelings and emotions instead of just focusing on the product itself. So, some of the major topics that he touches on the video, he begins by explaining like a brief history of marketing, how in the 1900s it was just like a very transparent catalog full of products from different companies. Didn't have like any of the fancy like emotional like this could be you kind of talk. And that shift started in like the 1920s, where like where companies were beginning to implement that new technique. He uses two different products, Graza and Liquid Death, and how like those products have developed like a community through how their companies have like developed their marketing techniques. He also explains like the psychological like happenings as to in our brain, in consumer brains, and how people use their emotional part of the brain to make a decision when it comes to buying products. And then we justify those decisions using our logical side of the brain. So yeah, a recent news event that I believe relates to the topics discussed in this video would be the recent change that Cracker Barrel has done with its logo. So Cracker Barrel, if you don't know, is a restaurant chain, and basically they've branded themselves to be like comfort food, traditional family values. But what I want to focus on here is the logo. So Cracker Barrel had a very unique logo where it was very iconic. A man with his barrel, unique font, all that jazz. However, in 2025, this year, it has changed its logo where it's now just like a plain Cracker Barrel in regular font logo, and it faced a lot of backlash because how it markets itself to be like comfort food and all that jazz. Now people have said that it feels sterile, that it has like modernized itself too much to fit into a different space. And this relates to the video because Cracker Barrel has like developed a community of like family values basically, but due to like it now modernizing itself, it has lost that community because of that modernization. The advertisement lectures that we learned in, I believe it was like 2 weeks ago, I believe that is heavily related to this video due to like it being like in the general umbrella of marketing. But more specifically in that lecture, I think the personal advertising, it discusses a lot about like personal advertising, and that is very much related to the video due to how it discusses how like companies are developing like marketing techniques that help them build a community loyal to the brand. We also learned about that in the advertisement lectures. But yeah, So in that same lecture, it also discusses like a brief history and like the evolution of like how TV has developed their advertising techniques, as well as how it has developed like different methods of advertising: rational humor, fear appeal, and sex appeal. And in the video, it discusses how Liquid Death definitely has a bit of like of a humor appeal to it with how it markets itself using internet culture and memes.